The regular season kicks off today for the Miami Heat, so we're going to be spreading a little optimism to kick off the occasion with a first-of-its-kind draft. What are we excited the most about this season? A really fun episode that you won't want to miss on today's Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast covering all things Miami Heat. However you might be tuning in on YouTube, Odyssey, or on your favorite podcast app, thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg, here as always with David Ramil. Got a fun episode for you guys today. Trying something new, David, as we do here on this daily show. It's called What Are We Most Excited for Draft? And so here's the idea, the rules here. It's going to be snake-style draft. You're going to get the first pick, and then I'll go, and then you'll go, and then I will go. And you and I both have our boards, our draft boards, of the things we are most excited for this Miami Heat season. I have not seen your board. You have not seen my board. And then in the nature of competitive integrity here, we're not cheating. So yeah. And we're just going to talk, and this is just a fun way, I guess, to just talk about what we're most excited for with this season kicking off tonight against the Chicago Bulls here at FTX Arena. So let's just get right into it. You get the first pick.
No real rules, no real standards or templates. Like, I have no idea what kind of conceptual, abstract ideas you might have come up with as terms of things. I mean, it could be anything. It could be something totally abstract or like a super on-the-court minutia that only you might be appreciative of, but that you're really looking forward to. So, yeah, I think it's a good place to start.
We're gonna try to go, by the way, to about 6 picks each, but we'll see if we even get that far. Maybe we go a little bit more than that. But yeah, go ahead with the first pick.
Well, the thing I'm most excited about. So for my first pick of our first ever, what am I excited about this season draft? I'm really excited to see playoff Jimmy Butler. I know we're early. I know it's beyond even the regular season, and we've got to get through the 82 game slog. But there's nothing quite like the knowledge that the team that you're covering or rooting for has the best player on the floor. That's exactly what we saw last year. If you think about all the positive memories from that last playoff run, the dominance that Jimmy Butler exhibited, the ability to make John Corrales over at Locked On Celtics eat his words about the best player on the floor, et cetera. I mean, all those good things. And Jimmy playing absolute beautiful basketball, knocking down three-pointers, getting to the line at will, getting downhill whenever he wants, overpowering other alleged players that are better than he is. There's nothing quite like it. As to me, watching playoff Jimmy perform at his peak, that's what you love about basketball. Seeing a superstar take over a game unlike any other. We saw it from Dwayne Wade. We saw it from LeBron James when he was in a Heat uniform. We've seen it from Jimmy Butler, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
I love it. You've used the word transcendent to describe Jimmy Butler's postseason run in the past, and that's what we watch sports for, is those transcendent moments, those rare moments where you see somebody make the impossible seem possible, and that's what Jimmy Butler was doing in the playoffs. I love that you fast forwarded all the way to the postseason. We have 82 games.
I'm skipping the 82
season.
games.
You don't even care. Also, I love the dig on John Corrales, who I believe said that Jimmy Butler wasn't just not the best player on the floor, but wasn't even the third best player on the court behind Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And obviously he was wrong, and it wasn't the first time John Corrales was wrong, and it won't be the last time John Corrales is wrong.
Absolutely.
So, all right. I love the pick. It's a good pick. It's now off of my board. What do I got? All right. I'm gonna go the opposite of you. I'm gonna go right to the opening night. My number one pick is Tyler Herro in the starting lineup. I am so excited to watch. Experiment is a strong word, David, but I'm excited to watch how this goes. I don't think that this is going to fail. In fact, I think Tyler Herro is going to be even better in the starting lineup than he was as the sixth man, which is the concern for a lot of people that wonder whether or not Tyler Herro can handle that jump into the starting lineup. Can he play next to those other guys off the ball? Can he continue to grow there? Or is he just sort of yay points off the bench, and is he limited to that six-man role? I think based on his numbers and some of the stuff we saw in the preseason in that small sample that we got from him, I'm convinced that I think Tyler Herro is going to have a better season. I think he's going to be better as a starter. I think he's a better fit with those guys. I think defensively, playing next to Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo covers up a lot of those deficiencies. And you look at the numbers last year, 42.2% on catch-and-shoot attempts. That's an elite number When I say that is Klay Thompson level of catch and shoot efficiency, that's not an exaggeration. The last healthy Klay Thompson season, he shot 40% on catch and shoot attempts. Tyler Herro was shooting 42.2% on those attempts. In the preseason, 80% on corner threes. Very small sample, granted. 43% above the break threes. That's the corner threes are great, and they're going to be there.
Yep.
It's the above the break threes and those kinds of things, that 25 to 29 foot, kind of 30-foot three-pointer, that's really going to space the floor in a new and meaningful way for this Miami Heat offense, and that's why you promote somebody like Tyler Herro to the starting lineup. It's not just because he scored 20 points a game and won Sixth Man of the Year, although that's certainly part of it. It's because he's exactly what this starting lineup needs. A guy who is not just a floor spacer, but one who strikes fear in opponents. And I think he's probably not quite to the level of strike fear, red alert, set out all the fires when he's coming off of a screen. But I'm telling you, he's going to get there pretty quickly once people kind of get a sense of what that looks like in that starting lineup. So that's my first pick, Tyler Herro, starting at shooting guard.
Does any part of you have any concern that now that he's gotten his contract, he's just going to take it easy and coast? Because we've seen this before, even when you're getting like mega contracts or his extension, et cetera, like he's going to get paid. Is there any part of you that's like, no, that's it. He's going to, right? That's just not how he's wired.
No, you talk to people around him, around the team. I know that there was a bunch of hoopla and stuff about people wondering, like the local reports, they're concerned about some of the off the court stuff. He's on a Wheaties box, all this, the Chipotle bowl, whatever. I don't know. They don't really care about that. And they are so in on the work ethic that Tyler Herro has. I mean, they'll just bring it up when not asked about it, right? Like they'll just talk about Tyler Herro's work ethic and all that kind of stuff. I don't think they're worried about it whatsoever. I actually think it's going to have the opposite. I think Tyler Herro being comfortable and having that starting role, I think he's going to thrive in it with the security that all that brings. I
agree. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think he's going to thrive. I predicted yesterday that he would actually make the All-Star team, even over Jimmy Butler. So, because those things don't matter to Jimmy, but Tyler's just at this point in his life and his career where he's building his legacy and starting to add to it. And he's already been to the NBA Finals. He's already accomplished that at 19 years old. Already has the Sixth Man of the Year trophy. Now he just keeps building on it, and I think he's poised for a successful season. So, one of the things that the second thing in what I'm excited for draft that I'm looking forward to the most is the unexpected win. There's just always some win throughout the season that, it's the third game in 5 nights. You're coming back from a long road trip and you're taking on a juggernaut of a team, or something happens, or you're missing your superstars. Jimmy's out, Bam's out, Tyler's out. You never know what's going to happen. Then all of a sudden, you've got this team that just finds a way to come together as one and knock off what looks on paper to be a stronger opponent. That is the heart of Heat basketball. It's defined this team for as long as Pat Riley's been the general manager. We saw it throughout all of last year's run when they were missing all their superstars at various points throughout the season, getting incredible performances from Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, you name it. You never knew who was going to step up on any given night. And those are the kind of games that everybody remembers. Like, that was a fantastic one. Yeah, the playoffs are amazing, but during the regular season, you need those kind of little things to just keep you going and keep you excited about basketball. To me, the unexpected win is what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I'm into it. I just remember you and I recording recaps last season after wins just like that, right? And yes, a lot of recaps, and we're gonna do a lot more recaps. It's you're right. It's just when you get that unexpected win, that one where maybe guys are hurt and then they just bounce back, and then there's a whole bunch of new players that you get to talk about and all that kind of stuff. It makes our job a lot more fun, and so I understand why you'd be excited about that. Let me go quick with one here. You know what? I don't really want to do that. I don't want to go quick. Let's just go straight to our ad break, and then I'll get to my pick after that. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Daily fantasy made easy, and all you have to do to play PrizePicks is you pick 2 to 5 players, and then whether or not they're going to score more or less than their PrizePicks projection. You can win up to 10x your money on any entry, and the best part, no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you can watch, including the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, the WNBA, so much more. But what we're going to talk about here is the NBA. Entries could be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So what do we have for tonight, which is opening night? You and I are recording this on a Tuesday afternoon. We've got the Warriors and the Lakers tipping off tonight. And as I'm looking at the PrizePicks app here, they have a bonus option available. Steph Curry, over or under 0.5 points. They're calling it a freebie because, David, it is a freebie. Steph is going to definitely score at least 1 point tonight. So you get to pair that with any other entry. I looked at what else I think is close to a guarantee. They've got LeBron 8+ rebounds.
Ooh.
I looked back on the last 6 LeBron seasons and what he's posted as on rebounds on opening nights. He's gone over 8 in each of but one of those opening nights over the last 6 years. I've got LeBron 8+ rebounds. Steph obviously above 0.5 points. I'm counting my free money and I'm laughing all the way to the bank, David. That's PrizePicks. That's how you do it. Download the PrizePicks app or go to PrizePicks.com to save up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks is going to give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks is going to give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for the instant deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy. Thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Now make your second listen game-to-game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only the Locked On experts can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's go to my next pick in the what we're excited for draft. You just picked the unexpected win. I'm gonna go with the style of play. I'm excited to see it change. I think that the Heat, the more and more you talk to these guys, the more and more they keep saying, look, I understand that you think we're running it back. We're not running it back. We look very different. I think they've had the training camp in the Bahamas, the preseason, and then basically a week after the preseason to tinker and kind of experiment. And I think Spoelstra got in the lab and he figured out how to improve this team despite the personnel not changing all that much. And I'm excited to just sort of see out the gate what they came up with and how this looks different. And if it is going to look different, the question is, how is it going to look different? You look at what they did last year, 14th in three-point attempts per game, 28th in pace. They're not going to shoot less threes, David. They're not going to play any slower, David, because it's almost impossible. So I think the only other option is they're going to shoot more threes and they're going to play a little bit faster. And that's the kind of offense that I want to see. It's the kind of offense I think that this team needs. You subtract PJ Tucker, you add Caleb Martin, you add Tyler Herro to that starting lineup like I just got done talking about. You've got Victor Oladipo relatively healthy coming off the bench, even though there's some tendonitis stuff. He's probably not going to play opening night, but we'll see. I love it. I think they're leaning in the right direction, and I want to see this offense move a little bit faster and lean into their new strengths.
It's going to be fantastic. I am optimistic. We talked about this even over the offseason. We were looking at Miami's options as we were debating the Kevin Durant trade or the loss of PJ Tucker or what happens with this team. And we talked about this. I remember, many conversations about leaning into a different style of play. And I think that's what we're going to see moving forward. Just high octane offense. And I think this is a group that's capable of it because we've seen that in the past. We've seen a more aggressive Bam,
Yep.
Tyler in the starting lineup, Jimmy, when it's all cylinders, Caleb Martin. I think it's going to be a really nice addition. I don't want to go so far as to say that we're going to forget about PJ Tucker's impact because he had a fantastic 1-year run here in Miami that ultimately fell short. But I think Caleb is going to do a lot to erase all of the bad feelings about PJ's loss and everything else. I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised as a fan base about Caleb's impact.
What's your pick?
I'm not going to overthink this. If you're looking for emotional moments in sports, there's not going to be too many more that are going to be as powerful as the last minutes of Udonis Haslem's career. Yeah. 20 years with the Miami Heat, fantastic memories, Mr. 305, defining sports culture here. Take Dwayne Wade, take Dan Marino, take any other player that's wearing any other jersey here in South Florida. Nobody comes close to being Mr. 305 like UD. UD's going to be here forever. Like, we're going to read about him, unfortunately passing away 60 years from now at some point in his hometown, and we'll all regret it, and we'll all be saddened by the loss because we'll all be a little bit less that day. But we'll all be a little bit less when he does eventually hang it up. this year. It's going to be a fantastic moment seeing him out on the floor because he means so much to this franchise and to all of Miami Heat fans everywhere.
That's a really good pick, and I probably should have had it higher on my board. Let's see here. I already said I'm going to cry that night. I mean, I'm almost not looking forward to it. You know what? Eric Spoelstra was asked about it. I think it was on Monday after practice, and he was like, "Are we going to do this every game?" It's like, "Oh wow, Udonis Haslam's first game of a season. Like, how do you feel about that?" He's like, "We're not going to do this for everything, right? You're not going to ask me in the second game Udonis Haslam's second game of the season either." And so he sort of joked about it.
He got emotional about Dwayne, I think, at the end there. So I can only imagine he'll probably say something similarly about ED.
Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a press conference afterwards. All right, I'm going to fast forward here because I've been kind of taking a bunch of stuff on my board that's sort of early season stuff. The conference standings battle that's going to happen late in the season, all right? Ready for this? Last 20 games, it's really the last 21 games here technically that I'm going to talk about. I think it's going to be so intense in the Eastern Conference in a way that it's really, and the Western Conference too, probably, but we're talking about the Eastern Conference. Every night, every game that not just the Heat play, but all of its rivals are playing is going to matter. I think the last 20 games is going to be a sprint that's going to be almost like college football, where just every game matters so much and carries so much weight, and people are going to be adjusting their power rankings and obviously the standings and sort of what the playoff brackets look like every single night. Morning to morning, you're going to be getting updates and what's at stake and all this stuff. I think it's going to be an absolute sprint. The last 21 games for the Heat in particular, 3 of them played against the Sixers, 2 of them against the Cavaliers, 2 of them against the Hawks. You got a game against the Toronto Raptors, a game against the Brooklyn Nets. So 9 out of the 21 games are going to be against teams that figure to be sort of in that top 8 range, at least as we're talking now about the Eastern Conference, not to mention some other kind of games against the Knicks, who I think are going to be like a sneaky play-in team around 500, like good games, right? Like these are not, this is going to be like really, really good stuff kind of at the end here. And I'm super excited about it because just in general, when you think about where the league is at right now, there are so many good players. There is so much talent in this league. There's so much talent on teams that don't even matter, right? Like Oklahoma City's got like really good, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a legit player, and he's just sort of toiling away doing nothing, right? Like it's just there's just so many good players all over the place.
Don't get me started on the Houston Rockets and their young core.
I won't. I wasn't going to ask about it. I almost made a Jalen Green joke, but I decided against it. I'm stoked for the last 21 games because that's going to be the sprint that goes into the play-in tournament and then obviously goes into the playoffs. It's going to be awesome.
Great pick. I think really a deep cut there. You're looking at the excitement of a pre-playoff race.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bloodbath, to use Locked On Cavs co-host Chris Manning's term regarding the Eastern Conference there. I think it's going to be fantastic to see how all these great teams vie for positioning. And you always know that Spoelstra always has something up his sleeve, whether or not he rests guys in a particular night, whether he plays guys in a particular night. We'll see how he angles it. He's always got an eye on the standings, even when he professes otherwise. I think we know differently, but that's a really good pick there. For me, let's see. You know what? I was just talking about the heart of the Miami Heat before, and I'm going to talk about the centerpiece of the team moving forward, and that's going to be Bam Adebayo and his continued growth.
We finally overlapped. Oh, wait, continued growth. Maybe not. Okay, sort of, kind of. Talking about the same player. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, it's just Bam, what we think might be an all-star level campaign and probably a defensive player of the year level campaign. And adding to that, the flashes of continued aggression. And I know that's a lot of pressure to continue to expect that from him. But you know what? He seems more ready for that challenge than he ever has been. Last year, he talked about it and then kind of wavered in that kind of continued aggression. I think we're going to see it more consistently because there's an understanding now. He's a 6-year veteran. He's done so much over the course of his career. He's already accomplished so much individually. I think he wants to continue to add to that resume. And I think we're going to see his expanded offense. We're going to see the occasional 3-point shot. Yeah. We're going to just see him be aggressive. We already predict that he'll take close to, if not over 18 field goal attempts just on opening night itself. And I think we're going to see that become the norm rather than the exception throughout the season.
I'm just going to piggyback on that pick. I'm going to make my own pick here. I'm excited to win money on Bam Adebayo winning Defensive Player of the Year. Plus 800 odds by our friends over at BetOnline. I can't believe His odds are like when you look at some of the other odds, people are like Rudy Gobert's got better odds. I think last I checked, Giannis had better odds. Mikal Bridges, Robert Williams, like these guys have better odds than Bam Adebayo. I just don't know how Bam isn't obviously the front runner. I mean, we could go so far as to predict that he's going to get it. In fact, we did that on our bold prediction show yesterday. But not even that. I'm not even worried about the prediction part of it. It's just he's clearly the front runner going into this season. If he plays, I don't know what, 5 more games last year, he probably wins it. So,
yep.
Yeah, you've got Bam's growth. It's a really good pick by you. I've got Bam winning Defensive Player of the Year and me winning money on that. And anybody else that's using BetOnline to bet on that, winning money on that, go ahead and do that now. Bam. Yeah, just excited about it.
I like that Bam is already getting buzz before the season's even started. Friends of the program, Michael Pina of The Ringer. Shout out to him. He just joined The Ringer there. And Ben Golliver of The Washington Post. Both of them picking Bam as their Defensive Player of the Year candidate. They both have – I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. He's kind of the one player that is on this Heat team that does get the sort of the respect that he deserves, right? When you kind of have that conversation, the Jimmy Butler thing, I think mostly people understand what he is and what you're getting there, but sometimes not really. Tyler Herro, I think it's very split on him. Some people think he 8 points. Some people think he's really good, and all these things. But Bam is kind of the guy everybody like universally says is like, that guy's legit. If he's disrespected, he's disrespected mostly by Heat fans that just want him to shoot more.
Yeah. But he's a basketball aficionado's favorite player kind of thing. Like you have to really appreciate Draymond embodied that for a long time, but the off the court stuff and just the taxing nature of his personality, I think just grates on people to some degree, even in the media. Bam is lovable. He's charming. He's funny. You know, he's a hell of a player too. I know Heat fans want a lot of him, but as far as national media, he gets the respect there for sure.
Last couple picks coming up after the break here on Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat.
All right, yeah, played a little bit of the intro there for no reason. All right, to help Heat fans get ready for the upcoming season, Official League, the fastest growing sports merch company, is launching an exclusive limited edition hat inspired by Miami Heat star Bam Adebayo and future Defensive Player of the Year. Designed by viral artist NBA Paint, only 100 are going to be available of each hat for purchase. And they're designed by, like I said, NBA Paint. New silhouettes feature funny food characters inspired by each player. Bam Adebayo is Ham Adebayo. We have it right here if you wanted to see it here on YouTube. Okay. Better news is that we're going to give away a free hat. So you don't have to buy it. All you have to do to enter a chance to win a free Official League Ham Adebayo hat is leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Then email a screenshot of that review to lockedonheat@gmail.com. The only catch is that you have until Bam attempts at least 18 shots in a game. The Heat play tonight against the Chicago Bulls. Nikola Vucevic is not an awesome matchup for Bam, at least not from the Bulls' perspective. I think Bam is going to take 18 shots tonight. What that means is you have to get in your review now. Email a screenshot of your 5-star rating or review to lockedonheat@gmail.com for a chance to win this free Official League Ham Adebayo hat. All right, continuing along with our what we're most excited about draft. David, it's your pick.
This is a little selfish of me, and it's something that our listeners and viewers cannot be a part of, but I'm excited about locker room celebrations. Like we've had a taste for being in the locker room already, and I know that some players are bristling at the return of open access like that. You can see them. I forget who it was exactly. Walked into the locker room, saw a throng of reporters and said, God damn. Like it suddenly dawned on him, oh yeah, that's right. We've got to deal with these guys again. And, I'm just trying to get dressed and get the hell out of here. Right. Not so fast, my friend. But you know what? There's these moments where you see like incredible chemistry and camaraderie. And that's like where you really get a feeling for what this team is, like your finger on the pulse of what this group is. And I think we're going to see a much more friendly and open environment. Look, we haven't been in there in a couple of years. My recollection of the last locker room that I was in 2019-20 was of a very exciting one. Like, you had guys there that were looking to build something. You had Jimmy Butler in his first season. You had Tyler as a rookie. You had Bam kind of trying to understand what was it like to play alongside Jimmy in his first All-Star campaign. All these fantastic things. You saw it all playing out there in the heart of the locker room. That's where you really get a sense of what these people are like and what this team is like. So I'm excited about that.
I've already enjoyed the little amount of locker room access that we've had so far. It adds depth to our reporting, and I think listeners of this program are going to be the beneficiaries of that when we're able to have little side conversations with some of the players that are just sitting there at their locker. Hey, what happened there with that play? And it's not anything that you and I are recording. It's not something that we're going to actually use audio for the podcast, but it's just information that we're able to have. Because right now we're just basically limited to the press conference room, right? What the quotes are being given are the same quotes that we're getting, the same quotes at the Miami Herald and the Sun Sentinel. Like, everybody is getting the same stuff. Now, finally, we can enter the locker room. We can have little one-off conversations with some of the players and get more depth. I mean, you've already benefited from it, right? Like, we were talking about the combination of Bam Adebayo with Omer Yurtseven, and a lot of my information on that came from just a conversation I had with Omer in the locker room after the game when we first saw that pairing together. So I think it's going to be great for us because we get to obviously see it and be a part of that, but also for our fans because they're going to be the beneficiaries of that stuff. My pick is mid-January. Okay? First part of this, so this is kind of a I kind of cheated on this, but don't call me out. You knew I would. You're waiting for the point where I bend the rules here. Mid-January. First of all, is the most obvious one. January 14th against the Milwaukee Bucks, a 1 p.m. weekend game on ABC. It's Miami's only ABC game. I love the ABC game. I'm into the pomp and circumstance. I love being the featured game on that. Like, this is the one NBA game that all NBA
in Miami
fans
at 1 o'clock?
It's in Miami at 1 o'clock. Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stoked to be there. The other cool part about that game is that the league sort of introduced an expanded version of these baseball series this year, where you're getting like these home and homes. We're seeing it early with 2 games against Toronto in the opening week. We're going to get that in January. That January 14th game, the one on ABC on Saturday afternoon, is the second game of that Milwaukee Bucks homestand there. And so it's going to have sort of that playoff feel against, one of Miami's biggest rivals in the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's really cool. So just excited for that, just point blank. The other day that I'm excited for in mid-January.
Here it goes. And we should mention, we were supposed to record this episode with Sports Illustrated's Rowan Nadkarni, and he would never have let you get away with this. He would have called foul right away.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Rowan's not here, so
you can't get that away. You can't get away with that with Rowan on the call.
He's not here. January 15th is the next day, and that to me is going to be the unofficial start of the trade deadline. Most of the players who signed new contracts over this past summer are eligible to be traded on January 15th. That, to me, is your unofficial start of the trade deadline, which is obviously starts a month later in mid-February. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff go down in mid-January because you're going to have teams rushing to tank for Victor Wembanyama in a very serious way. And I think you're going to see a flurry of moves for the Heat, Victor Oladipo, Dwayne Dedmon, Caleb Martin. All those deals become tradable at that point. And so I'm not necessarily predicting anybody of those guys getting traded. I'm not necessarily even excited for either of those guys to get traded, but I am excited for the action that we're going to see across the entire league and what's going to happen. So mid-January, very anticipated for that sort of pocket of the season.
It's a good pick. Good pick. Even though it's a little bit of a cheat, but that's okay. We'll allow it, right?
Your pick.
You know what? For my last pick of our draft, I think this is our last pick of the draft, right? I'm going with something that I recall again from the last time we were able to cover games and have that kind of full access and everything else. And that's Tyler Herro game winners. There was a stretch there during that rookie season before the bubble and before the pandemic and everything else like that, where there were just big back-to-back wins over the Pacers, over the Sixers, over, I can't even recall now, maybe the Bucks too. It was just fantastic games there. The Jazz, I'm sorry, where he single-handedly like just knocked Donovan Mitchell back to earth. He took over games there, and we were like, what is this rookie? And again, you and I have talked about this many times, the sense of excitement at FTX Arena when the ball is in Herro's hands and he's doing something magical as he can. The only player really on his roster capable of it, with that incredible control of his dribble, the shooting touch and everything else that he brings to the table, the excitement and the knowledge that you need a bucket in that last second. And so who to your designated bucket getter, your $130 million man, and that's Tyler Herro. And then the excitement, the roar of the AAA, not the FTX, the AAA, when you hear Tyler Herro knock down that shot and send you off into a nice, cool January Miami night. And that's as exciting as it gets, right?
Nice crisp 82 degrees out.
What's that?
A nice crisp 82 degrees out.
No, like I'm picturing like a January nights because again, those games were like in January, February, where it's actually cool. And the breeze is coming off Biscayne Bay. There's just an excitement in the air outside.
Get me excited for it.
And it's nothing compared to the excitement inside too. It's just I know it feels like I'm selling like game tickets or something like that. But yeah, hey, Heat.com, that's your only place for single game tickets if you want to get them now.
Great pick. I already had a Tyler Herro thing off my board, so I'm glad you picked that because it's a good thing to mention and a worthwhile thing to mention is the magic that he has that you and I talk about so much. My last pick is going to be Nikola Jovic and those moments that we get, glimpses into the future. I know that the Heat have this reputation of being a team that buys, an organization that buys its championship, that buys its teams, that is based off of free agents. But look at this roster, people who think that. Yes, Jimmy Butler's at the top. I understand that. Kyle Lowry is a big presence on this roster, obviously running the offense. But beyond that, this is a team very much built through the draft. Bam Adebayo is a lottery pick. Tyler Herro is a lottery pick. They've both now inked new long-term extensions. They're built in the undraft. Also, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Caleb, all these guys. Caleb Martin was whatever. It was a little bit. He's a developmental project for them. Omer Yurtseven's sort of similar in that way, right? Like this is a team that's built through the draft and its own player development program. And I think Nikola Jovic has a chance to be more of that Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro class when you have when you consider the upside than maybe the undrafted class, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, and these guys who are great players for this team and play their roles, but I think have a limited ceiling as to how great they can be. I think there's going to be moments here when we get a sneak peek into the future of what it looks like for Bam, Jovic, and Tyler Herro to play together. Because if this Jovic thing hits, and based on what we saw in the preseason, I think I am so much more encouraged after watching the preseason than after Summer League, right? Like you're just seeing the rate with which this guy develops. He's a better player in the preseason than he was a couple months ago in July in Las Vegas Summer League. That speaks volumes of the work ethic and his capability to learn and to develop. And I think everything when you talk to people on the Heat, they're very encouraged by his progress and impressed. There's going to be moments where it looks really rough. There's going to be moments where he picks up 3 fouls in 5 minutes. There's going to be that stuff because he's a rookie and that's what happens. But there's also going to be moments where you're like, oh my God, they have this on their roster and this is the idea. This is what you want to pair next to Bam in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, when both of these guys are sort of in their prime. I think there's going to be moments of that, like where Heat fans are going to get really excited and you and I on Media Row are just going to have our socks knocked off and just be like, wow, that was really cool. And that stuff's really fun because I don't know that we've been excited for a rookie like this since basically Tyler, right now. Yeah. So that's always fun stuff to watch.
No, great pick right off my board. I couldn't agree with you more because it's just seeing him already show these flashes over the preseason. And you have to take a grain of salt with this because for him, though, it's getting that comfort level. It's him knowing, you know what? And I've asked him about it. It's like, you know what? The speed doesn't impact him as much as it did in preseason, which he copped to when we first talked to him at Media Day. He said, you know what? That speed of the NBA game was not something I was prepared for. It. Well, guess what? After a few weeks of practicing at a really intense level, he's ready for it. And he doesn't seem to shy away from these moments either. Maybe he's got that same kind of the confidence, the swerve, the swag that Tyler has. And it's a great pick by the Miami Heat front office. He wasn't on anybody's board like that. I don't think he was expected to get taken that early. He was kind of stashed in Europe and nobody really knew what to expect. And all of a sudden we're seeing him blossom and it's still early. Maybe I don't even think we're putting pressure on him to succeed because he seems to want to embrace it. And he's also patient enough to know it's not his time yet. He just has to learn. He has to understand how to fit in with the veterans on his roster. And he's more than willing to accept that role and continue to grow in his own pursuits. So I think that's striking the perfect balance. It's also finding the right rhythm out on the floor. And I think we're starting to see the evidence that it's going to be a really successful draft pick for Miami.
I'm going to sneak in one more pick here. I'm going to cheat one more time.
Oh, come on. No, you already got an extra pick before. You can't do it. We're done.
What if it's PayPass? Can I just say I'm excited for PayPass? I'm just excited for PayPass. That's always great.
That's fine.
Excited for PayPass.
All right. I can't believe they're bringing it back to it. Like the Heat, they're not wanted to rely on last year's success.
So PayPass is an anthem.
Find any song?
It was like when they played that White Stripes song for a decade. Like it's just PayPass is an anthem. Yeah, PayPass is an anthem now. You got to play it. We're playing it at the at my wedding. in November. We're going to be playing Paypas. We weren't going to play Paypas if not for the Miami Heat.
Well, first thing first, if you're gonna play it at the wedding, you got to pronounce it right. I know you're not Cuban, but you're Pepas, bro. Come on, you can't do that.
Pepas.
It's
What
not
am I saying?
Pepas. There's no Pepas in there. Come on, it's Pepas.
Pepas.
Yeah, I can't believe they're playing it. When you listen to the lyrics, yeah, I don't know. Do you
well,
know
that's
what
why
the
they started bleeping some of it out for like a week, and then I think there was enough complaints and usually once you start, they played it for like a month, and I think there was people that look a lot like me. Didn't realize what they were saying in the song, and then they were made aware.
Along. Yay, okay, that's the catchy beat, and the next thing you know, it's like, whoa, hey, wait a minute, maybe my 5-year-old shouldn't be listening to this song. But there's a good chance they don't understand what's going on. That's
Toothpaste was already out of the tube. You had to bring it back. Pepas. Pepas. All right, we will have a recap of tonight's game, regular season opener against the Chicago Bulls tonight on this feed, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Remember to subscribe to new episodes of Locked On Heat on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Make sure to ring the bell to get notified as soon as new episodes go up. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA. The NBA season is here, and our local NBA experts and insiders have you covered on and off the court all season long. All the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. You can hear David on the Monday night, Tuesday morning show. You can hear me on the Thursday night, Friday morning show. It's available on YouTube, Odyssey, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining me, David.
Hey, I'm ignitable. It's the start of the season. Let's do it.
Pepas.